By show of hands, how many of you had your jobs either change or drastically change how you do it or what you do since 2020? Yeah, many of us, since the global pandemic, have experienced massive shifts in the way we use technology and the way we work. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, an estimated 1.1 billion jobs will transform this decade. To give you some idea of scale, that actually means that Beyonce could sell out 11,000 concerts, and that would equal the same amount of jobs that are about to transform. We know that we need new skills for the future of work, but education alone is not enough. I'd like to give you some context on why I believe that. I grew up in a small town where the population was less than the prison population, which ran the local economy. My dad, who worked there, lost his job as a correctional officer after working with the union. And since there weren't very many opportunities in our small town, he had to take a job as a gas station attendant. This new salary wasn't enough to cover our bills or cover our house payment. He knew that he had to learn new skills for his family and his future. However, that was going to be more difficult than we thought. He enrolled in a program focused on medical records technicians, and I watched him as he studied and worked through it. He finished that certificate, and when he came out, hopeful that he would get a new job, there wasn't one for him. He didn't know anyone in the industry, and the lack of supportive services meant that he stayed a gas station attendant for the rest of his life. Education is often hailed as the great equalizer, but millions of people, including my dad, know that it's not enough to ensure economic mobility. So today, I'll share with you some of the things that I've learned and found that need to be true in order for education to equal economic mobility. But first, let me take you back to 2016. I'm working full-time. I'm a mother of 2 kids under 3. Meet John and Lily. Very cute, but very needy. I struggle leaving them every day for a job that I'm not passionate about. I'm really concerned about making enough money for them and their future. Kids are surprisingly expensive. I continually ask myself 3 questions. How am I going to tell these tiny humans that they can do what they want to do, anything that they can dream of, if I'm not following my own dream? Second, could I actually follow my dream and become a technologist? And third, if I find a way to become a technologist, how would I ever juggle learning and being a parent and all of the other responsibilities that I have? The reality is that I have a family, complete with bills, which in the US, for a family of 4, includes insurance, which averages at about $1,000 per month, which in Philippine pesos is nearly 60,000. So you get it, I have to work. I searched for options where I could work full-time and study. However, all of the things that I could find required me to use school as my full-time job, and that wasn't made for a student with my responsibilities. Thankfully, I came across a brand new 6-month part-time program focused on working adults, where I could study in nights and weekends and continue to work full-time. I spent the winter of 2016 commuting, juggling all of my responsibilities, studying. You get it, it was difficult. But I'm glad I did. Luckily for me and my family, that experience transformed my life, and it's why I'm with you today. Imagine a world where everyone has the opportunity to learn and earn and support their family and their dreams. The future of work requires it. Across the globe, labor markets have shifted dramatically, leaving many without the skills necessary to secure well-paying jobs. I want you to look at the people sitting to the left and right of you. The World Economic Forum says that either one or both of them will need to change their core job skills. And 6 out of 10 workers will need to have additional training before 2027. However, only half of workers have access to adequate training opportunities today. In addition to training, there's also a lack of available childcare, housing insecurity, and unreliable access to transportation and internet, all factors which keep those who need it the most out of the classroom and out of the well-paying jobs of the future. So the question that I've continued to ask myself in my work in EdTech, as well as my nonprofit CodeConnect, is how can we equip people with the in-demand skills that they need while also providing the support services that are required? Short-term training programs focused on applied job skills offer a transformative solution. On average, these programs can increase income by 30%. However, those who need these opportunities the most often face significant barriers, like the ones I just mentioned. In fact, people from disadvantaged backgrounds are 40% less likely to complete programs like this. Success is even lower with traditional higher education options when you take into account acceptance rates and high tuition. So I want you to take a moment and think about your educational experience. From your earliest memory of learning to the most recent exam that you took. What were the obstacles you faced? How many people and pieces had to come together in order for you to be successful? After my 6-month program ended, I chose to work at the intersection of education and technology, specifically with a focus on equity and accessibility. I think you're hearing a theme here. I felt it was necessary to help others who chose to invest in themselves, learn new skills, and change their lives. I understood the commitment that they were making and what it would take for them to succeed. I could tell them about the long days and late nights, just trying to get it right. How working toward your dream is a stew of frustration and satisfaction, and it needs all of your attention. These students trusted me to help them get there, and I wanted to be there for them when they crossed the finish line. Over the course of a few years, I noticed a disturbing trend, specifically for students from disadvantaged backgrounds and lower socioeconomic neighborhoods. We had students dropping out in massive numbers and missing a ton of classes, both of which wasted the investment that they made in themselves in time and money, as well as future earning potential. The statistics that I shared earlier were showing up in real life, and I had seen this before with my dad, so I couldn't sit back and watch it happen to these students. But I knew that building out the services that were needed to support them through their educational journey was overwhelming and not scalable. So how could we possibly meet their needs? My team learned from the work shared by the Aspen Institute on Collective Impact and began exploring how we could implement a similar framework in the programs that we offered. We began making maps of local assets. We researched community-based organizations who were already doing great work in their communities, where our students lived and worked. We found that many were already offering the services that our students needed, like childcare, counseling, things that we couldn't provide. But our students just weren't aware of them. So we began to weave together a tapestry of support, bringing together organizations and having each of us do what we did best to support the individual. When we began our program in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I witnessed the power of scale when it comes to community collaboration. My colleagues and I were introduced to the community through a series of in-person events. They were organized by someone in their early 20s, so you can tell that it took a lot of stamina to keep up with this week. From the Hispanic serving organization, where they focused on small businesses who could potentially use our students as talent when they came out of our program, as well as talking to different organizations about the skills that our students were going to learn, specifically the technology director of the Cherokee Nation, and walking through the brand new cybersecurity center that the Bank of Oklahoma had just built. The local universities even came to join us, and we were able to talk about how to grant credit for our program so that the students who really wanted to finish a degree or get one after completing our program could do that and have a heads up, leg up. So after I entered room after room, I was blown away at how much passion and commitment these people had to serving their community. They were so open to collaborating in bold new ways. And so during our first kickoff, we had them present the resources that they had available to our students. And so the students knew that they had what they needed to be successful. So what was the result of all of this work? The national average of completion for programs like this is 78%. Our students and completion rates soared to 90%. A Gallup study shared that on average, students attending a program like this increased their earning potential by $11,000 USD in the first year. And many of our graduates doubled their income and went on to reinvest in their communities. We knew our approach was working, and we began to implement similar structures in other communities where we knew they needed it. We wanted this dream to scale, and we wanted to tell as many people as possible about it. So this year, Moses, a graduate of our cybersecurity program, joined us on the road to share his experience and how this had changed his life. I can't wait to watch his TED Talk one day. Education can equalize, but collaboration makes it transformative. And Maya Angelou said it best when she said, "When you know better, do better." So my vision is that by weaving together a tapestry of support, we can build ecosystems that enhance economic mobility and create thriving communities. But in order to make that vision a reality, we need you. I want you to go back home and find the organizations that are doing great work in your community. And if you can't think of where to start, ask Google, or ask a friend, ask a neighbor. Then ask yourself, how might you bring them together to amplify their impact? By doing so, you're going to enable your community to be prepared for the transformation of the 1.1 billion jobs that we talked about earlier. I encourage you to start small. Ask your local schools, government, foundations, nonprofits, really anyone in your community. Ask them who they're looking to serve. And do they know one another? Many times they don't. So as you explore, you're charting a map of the services made available to your community. And together, you can weave them to make their impact even greater. Community collaboration is the thread that transforms education into economic opportunity. Together, we can create a world where every community has the opportunity to learn, earn, and thrive. Thank you.